Yes, hello, it is a dark episode for March the 24th, 2024. Oh, Jesus, I did my first aid today, which meant I got up at about 6:30. I actually woke up at about 3, went to the washroom, realized it was like 3:30, went back to bed, then it was 5, then it was 6. Then it was like 6:30 and I did my leg lifts and I got up. Yeah. So I've not, over the last couple of days, I've not had great sleep. I did get through my first aid, past my first aid. It's definitely one of these things where it's run by a private company. I think it would be hard, you might be hard pressed not to pass it, to be honest. But it's good to get a kind of a run through of the various stuff on first aid. Don't know if I have something there. I think I have enough there that it's good, it's useful, valuable for A, the loved ones in my life, and B, the primary reason why I have to get it recertified every 3 years is because I would like to be employed. And that's always very important. And you can't work at my job without having a fresh certification on your first aid. So I did that. And it was, for a 8 to 4:30 class, that was fairly painless, as those things go. Blah, blah, blah. So I did that and I took the bus home. I finished listening to Hero of the Empire, about Winston Churchill, which in some ways it's like young Winston Churchill gets taken prisoner of war by the Boers, and then he escapes and makes it a good ways just by himself. Then really fortunately it runs into some people who are able to get him out of South Africa, and that's the end. Candice Millard does a fairly good job of talking about the general context of the war, I guess. It is probably made a lot more palatable that the particular thing that I think the Boer War is most known for is the use of concentration camps by the British. Doesn't happen until after his adventure, which is it. In the epilogue there, that's where she does address it and she does talk about it, but it's it's just by the nature of Winston Churchill's story and how we're focused, it isn't a large part of that. Even though it's probably the single most reprehensible, terrible thing of that. Also very much, there's the introduction of new warfare techniques and how that's going to affect things. And just, with the concentration camps and a lot of the things of Britain, I don't know if it is new about exactly how fucking brutal they were when somebody tried to cross them as the big empire. It's like they used their military might to fucking crush these people. And you kind of feel semi-diffident about the Boers because the Boers are just another European import who are being horrible to the people, indigenous black South Africans, and spoiler alert, get to be allowed to govern the area the way they want. By the 1930s, they're governing it. They're governing it anyways under the British under British leash, and develop apartheid and really, really hard line racial stuff because they're sort of just continuing the British kind of colonizing thing. Though the Boers, because of their position in Africa, were really, really against the outlawing of slavery by the British, who You could argue it was a moral thing. You could argue it is also just becoming less of a economic incentive for them to have slavery on their books. It's all very messy and very gray, and you do not really want to side for any of these sides. And I mean, you can say that about Winston Churchill himself, of his motives for going there. Generally, there's definitely ways that he was a very admirable, kind of compelling figure. But there's also ways that he's like, oh, you're a politician. All right, you're somebody who really feels you have destiny and all this stuff, and using all his family ties to kind of get everything that he wants to get. But also, someone with obviously great physical courage. You know, I don't know. I'll have to think about that more. I have to think about how I fit it in with what I have so far, and also how it fits in. It's just a book in itself. Like, does this tell enough of a story for me? I'm not quite sure, but I will have to think about that at some point when I can think. Because yeah, I'm quite tired, so I'm going to bed. More videos later.